Welcome to tonight's video on Class 6. Um, the first problem talks about the population of Smithtown in 1934 was 589,700, so that's our A term. And our B term, it says the population rate increased at a rate of 0.00231%, so our B term is 1.0000231. So now when we write our equations, notice it says that the increase is every 17 hours. So to write the equation that represents the following problem in years, you would take 589,700 times 1.000231 and raise that to the 365 times 24, because there's 365 days in a year, 24 hours in a day, and divide that by 17, and that is our exponent for time. For the second one, it says t is the number of weeks, so f of t would equal 589,700 times 1.000231 to the, now there's 7 days in a week, so times 24 hours in a day divided by 17 would give you the correct translation from every 17 hours to number of weeks. The next one talks about when t is equal to days. So we have the same A and B. And now, because there are 24 hours in one day, you just go 24 divided by 17 t, and that gives you your exponent. Because there's 24 hours in a day, and we know that the increase is once every 17 hours. And when it's in hours, it's just going to be a simple t over 17, because it happens once every 17 hours. So those are our equations. In what calendar year will the population have tripled? Let t equal the number of hours. Our y sub 1 will be 589,700 times 1.0000231 to the 365 times 24 t, but in your calculator is x, divided by 17. Y sub 2, you just take the initial amount, 589,700, times it by 3, because that's when it tripled. The window that you would use on your calculator is from 0 to 160, and from 589,700 to 2 million. And when you do second function trace, intersect, enter 3 times, you get 92.296 years, which means in what calendar year? Well, you'd have to go 1934 plus 92 to get 2026. That's the calendar year. For the second one, what will the population be in 36 weeks? You take y sub 1 is now the weeks. So you're going to raise it to the 7 times 24x divided by 17 power. X equals 36, because that's the weeks is an x value. So your window is from 0 to 50, and 589,700 to 595,000. And when you do trace 36 and hit enter, you get 594,566.164 people. That's the population of Smithtown. How many days will the population be 750,000? Your y sub 1, now you're talking about days, so your y sub 1 is 589,700 times 1.0002, another 0, 231 to the 24x divided by 17. Y sub 2 is 750,000. Your window is from 0 to 8,200 by 589,700 to 1 million. And when you do second function trace, intersect, enter, you get 7,373.476 days. All right, and the next one talks about and how many hours, so you're going to use the hours equation. So it's x divided by 17. Y sub 2 is just 589,800. The window is from 0 to 160 by 589,700 to 590,000. And then basically you do the intersection and you get 124.78 hours. All right, next problem. It talks about the half-life of a certain element. So we know the initial amount is 3,250 grams. Half-life means our B term is going to be 1/2. And it's 467 days. So remember, there's 365 days in a year, and it happens every 467 days. So that's the fractional exponent. The next one talks about weeks. And remember, there's 7 days in a week. So it's going to be 7 divided by 467 t. And then the next one talks about the number of days. So it's just going to be t over 467. And then last but not least, when it talks about hours, it's going to be t over 467 times 24. Now, it says in how many years will there only be a fourth left? So your y sub 1 will be the equation for years. So 365x divided by 467. Y sub 2 will be 1/4 of 3,250. So that's how you would type it in your calculator. Your window is from 0 to 30 and 0 to 3,250, which is decay. When you do the intersection, you get 2.5589 years. In 29 weeks, how many grams have decayed? Your y sub 1 will be the equation for weeks. So it's 7x over 467. X equals 29. Your window will be from 0 to 100, or sorry, from 0 to 30. and then it'll be from 0 to 3,250. When you go trace 29, you get that you have 2,404.5221 grams left. That means to figure out how much has decayed, you would subtract, and that would mean it's 845.779, sorry, 0.4779 grams have decayed. Next question, in how many days? So you're going to use the formula that tells it in days. So it's 1/2 to the x over 467. And then 750 grams have decayed. So that means you got to go 3,250 minus 750 to get your y sub 2. Your window will be from 0 to 1,000. And then from 0 to 3,250. When you do the intersection, you're going to get 176.7649 days. And then the next one's in hours. So 3,250 times 1/2 times x over, and then you'd have 467 times 24 in parentheses and then another parenthesis. It says in 100,000 hours, so x equals 100,000. Then you do trace. The window will be from 0 to 150,000 by 0 to 3,250. And when you do that, you get 6.6994 grams are left, which means 3,243.3006 has decayed when you subtract that amount from 3,250. And that means if you divide this by 3,250, that gives you 99.7939% has decayed. I hope this video helped, and I will see you guys in class. Have a good evening.